On today's episode, we are cooking up the very best movies and TV shows that are based around foods. So get your friends together, get that turkey out of the oven. It's time to enjoy the Doomsday Download.
We've got the Doomsday Download.
Welcome to another episode of the Doomsday Download, where we are saving the most essential pop culture for the end of the world. I am Talon, and once again, sat across town from me in his lair, Dill with all the skill. Here he is, Dylan.
You
What up,
already
dude?
know what it is.
I do now. Dude's doing all the hype moves. I love
Dude,
this.
the whole intro,
How are you?
I felt like Eminem, and what's his movie? 8 Mile. He's getting ready to go on stage, so he's getting all pumped up.
Well, good. That's what we aim for here. Also, what we aim for is the topics of the day. We are going to come up on cooking, movies, and shows, as we discussed, because it is Thanksgiving time. And that'll be the main staple of our feast of an episode today. But before we can get to that, we're going to get into the all-important question of the day. So, what do you got? You got a question?
Okay, I do. So my question is pretty basic, but it's Thanksgiving themed since we're in the week of Thanksgiving. Okay, so we
Nice.
have 4 staple Thanksgiving foods. We have turkey, we have stuffing, we have mashed potatoes, and we have pumpkin pie.
Yes.
You have to eliminate one forever.
Okay, so it was turkey, stuffing was the second
Yeah.
one? Mashed potatoes, and then pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
You know, this is going to be criminal in a lot of households, but that's kind of what you've done here is give only criminal choices.
True.
So I'm going to say mashed potatoes.
You're eliminating mashed potatoes.
So here's my thing. Before you jump down my throat like a delicious feast during Thanksgiving, let me just say, if I could have gotten rid of sweet potatoes, you bet your friggin' buns they're out the door. I want to get rid of them anyways, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't
with you.
know. We're not
So-
a maniac household that does sweet potatoes.
I never get that. And then I just heard someone today actually say, oh yeah, with that marshmallow fluff
Ugh.
on top. I'm like, wait a minute. Are we having dinner or are we like in Disneyland about to vomit? Like what kind of treat are we going for
Yeah,
here?
it's carnival food.
It really is. It really is. I don't know how it made the rotation. Crazy. But anyways, here's my point. Turkey, staple, can't get rid of it. Need them meats. Stuffing, low key, dude, my favorite side.
Yeah.
Delicious. And then pie, I got a sweet tooth. I can't get rid of
No,
pie.
you're a
so-
maniac with the sweet tooth. Yeah, I think that also back to the sweet potato thing, just because I'm like enraged by it, does it seem like
Okay.
Thanksgiving is the only time where sweet potatoes are referred to as yams?
Oh. Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa, dude, you're blowing my mind right now with this yam talk. But yes.
Yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
Candy she's all about stuffing, and she thinks that it's criminal that people only eat stuffing during Thanksgiving. She wants it like to be a
Yeah.
yearly food.
Yeah, I am not mad at that call. I think that if you had stuffing once a month with a meal as like the side to a meal, I think you'd be living a pretty good bready life.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Now, follow-up question.
Okay.
Stuffing.
I want to hear yours though.
My answer? Okay. I
Yeah.
would say, honestly, maybe the turkey.
Really?
Yeah. And I know that's
You're getting rid
crazy,
of the meat?
but like turkey, I feel like that most often is like hit or miss with me, where like sometimes you
Yeah.
get like kind of the dry turkey. Sometimes it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
I prefer it in like the sandwich the next day, so,
Okay.
and like the stuffing and the mashed potatoes are such heavy hitters with that gravy, dude, that yeah, I
Gravy
could
train.
see getting rid of the turkey. Also, like, let's just like give turkeys a break, because we're just like really wrecking their fucking year every year.
I know. This is their least favorite holiday for sure.
Yeah. My follow-up question though is, do you fucks with any of the weird ingredients in stuffing, like fucking raisins or grapes or apples or nuts or anything like that?
No. Whatever people normally do is the one I want. I don't want an eclectic garden, the harvest variety of stuffing.
What about
All right.
what about like sausage in your stuffing?
I don't need that.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna get rid of turkey, then I guess that's a move. But like, no,
Yeah.
right now, no.
Yeah, our Thanksgiving dinner is just stuffing with a dessert of pumpkin pie.
Yeah, we've officially ruined Thanksgiving. People are like, you got rid of the 2 actual favorites. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't fuck with any of the weird stuff either. I can fuck with
I feel
celery and stuffing, but that's about as
Yeah.
crazy as I can go.
Yeah, celery doesn't really have a flavor. It's just kind of like, do you want a bit of a squishy log? Like, yeah, I'll take a squishy log in my stuffing. Why
Squishy.
not? Not, wait a minute. Let me back it up. That sounds so bad. Don't take that out of context.
You need a squishy log. I'll give you a squishy log, dude. That's what you want.
I know. I know. You're the master of making squishy logs, but I'm not actually looking for that. I made a mistake, and I want to take it back. All right. All right, moving on from that talk, let's get further into my question. So out of episodes 2 through 9, because I don't know if you know this is episode 10.
Oh,
We made it double digits, baby.
dude.
Yeah, dude. So out of episodes 2 through 9, what are you most thankful for from your picks? Like, which one that we've done so far are you like, man, I'm so fucking glad we got to that topic. I've been grateful for that thing, that movie, that game, whatever.
That's a tough one. Let me think on that while you give me your
Okay.
answer.
Okay, so my answer, and obviously there's like the most obvious answer for me, and then there's the one that's a little bit buried. So if I was going to go super obvious, it would be Good Will Hunting, right? We did the Robin Williams episode. I doubled down. I said Robin Williams, Good Will Hunting. But technically that's already saved from the first episode. So to add on to that, I think I'd have to say, honestly, looking at my list, I love Rick and Morty, man. So I'm grateful for Rick and Morty. I'm grateful that it still exists and is still a good show. So I'm glad we got it saved.
I like that answer. I would say the fact that we did the 90s cartoons episode and we got to talk about, I mean, some of those shows, Scooby-Doo and Hey Arnold, though, like those two, just being able to talk about those in a podcast setting is very fun. And it's signature for you and I that we would have those within the first 10 episodes.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. If you want to get to know us as little kids, and that's really where it all starts. Okay, we've already talked about some great side pieces that are going to be in or out at your Thanksgiving dinner, but now we just got to talk about what you're going to put on before and after dinner. So that'll be cooking TV shows and cooking movies. What?
Some side, just the way you worded that was pretty great. Some side pieces.
It's true. Look, it's getting steamy this Thanksgiving. We can't help it.
Dude, it's hot, it's heavy, side pieces, squishy logs. We're getting down and dirty, boy.
We sure are. First of all, let's get down and dirty with your honorable mentions. What you got for the cooking, movies, and TV category?
Yep, so I don't know how you categorize these. I did all, like, no reality shows. So a couple honorable mentions. These honorable mentions are the reality-esque cooking things that I would have put in here had we included them, but I went non-reality as well, which is why these are in my honorable mentions. Good Eats, because Alton Brown just taught us so much, my dude. And he just made cooking look really fun, which is pretty dope. It kind of teaches you the science behind it. And then anything with Anthony Bourdain, but specifically No Reservations. I was a huge,
Classic.
and still am a huge Anthony Bourdain guy. And those episodes, it was so great because they were food-centric, but there were so many episodes that ended in me, like, tearing up just because of how, like, real they were.
I never really watched No Reservations, but everyone always says if you're going to watch one of the cooking shows, that's the place to start.
It is, yeah, because he explores everything, the culture around the food, and a lot of things just with, like, daily life. And to now watch it and know just, like, all the things that he was struggling with, it hits even harder.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I dig those. I will say, yeah, I kind of have one on my honorable mentions that is also reality related, but we'll get to it in a second. Chef is an honorable mention for me. I watched it once and it just didn't hit, I think, the way it does for most people. So I was like, this is fine, but I put it on my honorable mentions because I know people love it. Next one is the kind of reality one. Comedians in cars getting coffee. You might be like, what does that have to do with cooking? Nah, they're making all kinds of decadent ass caffeinated drinks in that.
Yeah.
If you watch the show. So I love that. I love that show and I think it nails it. And then the last one, Breaking Bad.
Okay. You really thought you knocked that one out of the park, didn't you?
Jesse, let's cook. Come on. They're
No,
cooking all the time.
It's funny because for a second I was like, oh, is this like a joke because of the pizza he throws up on the roof in that one episode? But it was
That too.
actually a much better joke than I thought. So just to be clear, though, because of some of my picks, I should preface this by saying that I did not go specifically cooking. I also just went food centered.
Now that I look at it, like, yeah, this is going to be an interesting comparison of our two lists, as it always is.
Yeah.
You know, we have some in common, but inevitably we have some that we're both like, oh, I didn't even think of that one. I guess that counts. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there is maybe one that we will have in common. Looking at my list.
I think we're going to have two, but we'll see. Okay, so take me there. What's your number 5?
Okay, number 5, and I am only putting this at number 5 is like because it's the least food centric, but still is completely influenced by all of that. Sideways.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't have put that on the list, but dude, totally. The same way coffee is a staple, like wine, you need to have it.
Yeah, and I mean there are some great like food scenes in that. Obviously, it's all the food's relation to the wine that they're pairing it with. Like, if I watch Sideways, I'm not a wine drinker. I also just don't drink. And yet, watching that movie, it's one of those movies where you're like, I should fucking drink wine. I should learn everything about wine because it's just so well written and such a well-structured movie that, yeah, when you watch it, it fully brings you into that culture.
Yeah. I feel like if even though you don't drink as much, you could do the spitting method that sommeliers do. You could just start tasting the wines just to spit them back out again.
No, that's not how that goes. Let me tell you, spitting anything when you have a full-on beard, it's a no-go. It's just unless you're like really good.
It would get so ratty.
Yeah,
it would get funky super fast. That's awesome. Dude, honestly, I'm glad you brought that one up. I do love that movie. I feel like if I thought about it, maybe it could have made the list. And just by quality, I think it'd be like middle of this list, honestly, because it's a great movie. But I also will say I'm going to stand my ground. I like my 5 for this category.
Okay,
a lot,
dude,
so
chill out.
Let's
hear your number 5.
Okay, my number 5, and this is a bad one to dovetail into because it's not actually a great movie, but it's a nostalgia movie. Good Burger. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? So it's all about cooking because they're set in a fast food place. Yeah, and it's Keenan and Kel back in the day. I started watching it as a little lad before I even knew that food needed to be cooked. As far as I understood, it just materialized in front of me. So it was a good time in my life, and I will always treasure like the feel of that movie. I haven't watched it since I was little, but it's one of those ones like we talked to Harry and the Hendersons. It's from that era of me watching stuff over and over again.
So you were terrified by it at the end? You were like hiding behind the couch trembling or whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Good Burger was great. I do have a lot of great memories of that. And also speaking to your lack of any knowledge of any sort of cooking or making food for yourself, like when I met you, we were 8 or 9. And coming over to your house, like you didn't even know how to make top ramen. I remember like one of the first times I was there, I was like, oh, you have top ramen, let's make that. And you had no concept of like making it, that I ended up making it for the two of us. And that became, I think, like the first, few times when we hung out, or for a little while when we first started hanging out. Every time we'd make some food, it would be me making it.
Put you in that role early.
How dare you, dude? And it's really just influenced the dynamic of our friendship so far.
Oh my god, ridiculous. It is terrible. What's your feeling on number 4?
Yeah, so my number 4, and I think this one might surprise you, My Dinner with Andre.
That does surprise me, and I've never seen it. And last thing about it before you dive in, the only thing I know about it is from Community.
Yeah, so actually that was my first impression of that movie as well. I only recently watched it. Really liked it. It's pretty crazy what they did with it. So obviously the whole story is centered around this dinner that these two friends are having, and they're kind of reconnecting after some time apart, and they're both in totally different like phases of their lives, just as creatives and as adults. And the entire movie is just a conversation between them. It doesn't flash to anything else. It's just them talking. And it's kind of checkpointed, it's split up into chapters based on the courses that they receive throughout the meal. And that kind of splits up the conversation, and they'll kind of change course in the conversation because they're interrupted by like the serving staff, and then, the conversation evolves from there. But it's great, man. I've never had a movie hold my attention so well without actually showing you anything. It's a movie, but it's almost like an audio medium. And beyond that, it still is like an appealing foodie type movie because it all takes place around this, kind of lavish dinner that they're eating.
Yeah, I feel like that's a movie done brilliantly if you're doing a little indie movie, because it's like, how can we make a dinner, which is a very small budget thing to do, interesting and engaging?
Yeah. That just sounded so funny. How can we make a dinner, which is a very small budget thing to do? Yep, dinners are generally
Yeah,
pretty small budget, especially if it's top ramen, and you don't know how to cook it. You don't even
yeah.
have to use water, dude.
That's so true, dude. You can just eat it brittle as it is. That's great.
All right, let's get to your number four.
Um, okay. My number 4 is Ratatouille.
Hell yeah, dude.
Classic throwback kids movie. Yeah, I'm glad I got like another good kids movie on here. And when I was thinking about being a chef and all that, I was just like, yeah, that movie nails it. Like, I love the moment still of, I think he's like in the alley or something, the rat is, and he's talking through the experience and it's showing like I think it's called synesthesia, when it's like he's eating it but seeing colors exploding. And I just thought that was a really cool thing to work in. Like, it's not just a kids movie that's like, what if cute rat was in kitchen? It's very much like a movie that loves food.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's like I feel like that wasn't even peak Pixar animation, and yet the food
Yeah.
looks so great.
Yeah, it does, dude.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also
that
I
one.
I feel like that's not even like a kids movie. I feel like there are some I mean, as with, most Pixar movies, there's a lot of like adult themes and things that adults can relate to. But also
Yeah.
like for most of the tasks that I complete on a daily basis, it's done by a rat hiding in my hair.
Oh, where is he now?
He's in here, dude. I just have tall hair.
Oh, nice. Comfortable home for the guy.
Yeah. Okay. My number three. Out of all of these choices on the list, Chef is the one that does cooking the best, in my opinion, because it
That's cool.
actually is centered around the cooking. And you
Mhm.
see like a lot of the dishes, the creation of the dishes, and there's just like a passion for the cooking that's really present in that movie. I'm trying to remember the name of the chef that John Favreau like shadowed and learned how to cook. I think it's
Mm.
Roy Choi, I want to say his name is. Yeah, it's Roy Choi. And yeah, he has like a Korean fusion cart in LA that I think spawned like a bunch of actual brick and mortar restaurants. And they went on to do the Chef Show together, which is a reality cooking show. I do still like the movie above it. The movie is just very like warm and positive, and there are a lot of great actors in it. And the food is just done so
Mhm.
well that after it, you're a chef. Like I don't. If you're watching this movie after you're done, the first time I watched it, I got up and like went and made fried eggs and toast, and it was like the most love anybody's ever put into fried eggs and toast.
It's your origin story for cooking, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
It totally wouldn't be the culinary class that we had or watching Pop Cook or anything. No, it would be years later watching Chef.
Yeah. No, it like makes you not only like want to cook, but it makes you appreciate how cooking like brings everybody together in the story.
I do like that pick. I respect the pick. And yeah, to each man his own menu. Speaking of the menu,
Fuck off, dude.
that's my number 3. Yeah, the menu is great. You've seen it,
I
right?
did, yeah.
So it's got Ray Fiennes and Nicholas Holt and what's her name? Anya Taylor-Joy. So it's really, really great cast. And actually, it's funny to hear you talk about My Dinner with Andre because you said that it breaks it up kind of into chapters based off of the piece of the meal that they're at. And they do a similar thing. So it must be an homage what they do in the menu. And yeah, I fucking love that movie. I think hearing the hype, I was like, yeah, sure, it's kind of getting Oscar buzz. I'm going to give this a shot. But it's crazy good, man. Like the pace is so good. The things that they do in that movie get, heightened stakes more and more, and it gets more and more extreme. And that always is going to be a pull for me. And then I love the payoff at the end. I won't say exactly what it is in case people haven't seen it, but there's some meal that gets made that works well into the story, and I just love that scene so much. The payoff of it.
Yeah, no, it is a very memorable ending. I really enjoyed that movie as well. Also, did you say Ray Fiennes? Is that how his name is pronounced?
Yeah, I thought it was Ralph Fiennes, but every time that I've heard someone like interview him or talk to him, it's always Rafe. And I'm like, you just did that to be zhuzh it up to make it fancy, which I'll allow. I'll allow.
I'll allow it. If you're a
All right.
caliber actor like fucking Steven Seagal or something, no, you don't get to just change Ralph to Rafe. Something dope like that. By the way, just a
Exactly.
little side note, have you seen some of the recent interviews with Steven Seagal?
No, is he in a bad
He has
place?
lost his mind, dude. I think he's like in Russia chilling with Putin. And like in one of the most recent episodes I saw, or interview like clips that I saw from him, he was talking about like a convention, and he's like, "How you say in English?" And they're like, "Convention." He's like, "Yeah, convention." It's like, bitch, you're from like fucking Detroit or something. Like you,
Yeah.
English is your first language, my guy. He's just
Yeah,
lost it.
exactly. I bet he doesn't even know 10 words in Russian. Like, I guarantee he uses the same
I don't
go-tos.
think he even knows he's in Russia, if that's where he is.
That's such a good point. He's like, this soundstage is so convincing.
Yeah, so he can't go by Rafe Segal. That's just the rule that I'm
Yeah.
laying out there.
Yeah, we shouldn't even let him know that that's a possibility because he will. You're right. He would love to try and make himself sound bigger than he
Yeah.
is.
Okay, my number two, The Bear.
Love it. Okay, so you're saying The Bear, and you've watched both seasons?
No, so I've only watched the first season, so
Okay.
maybe after season two, it might have kicked it up to number one, maybe even. But I love the show so much. I really like John Bernthal, Maddie Matheson. Like the cast is just great for the show.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's number two because of how great it is. And a huge reason that it didn't make number one is that I don't see it as much of a cooking show as much as just like a drama where, like I said, Chef is like it really delves into the actual cooking part of that world. And you see a lot of that from the season that I watched. I don't know if season two improved on this, or I won't say improved, but if season two included more of that. But season one, the only disappointment from season one for me was that it was not more, I didn't see more food.
Okay. Okay. That's your vision of it, I guess, which is wrong, but that's okay. I feel like it does a really good job of balancing because it not only has to do the cooking thing, it also has to do the like the running a business thing and then balancing the family part of it and all that. So yeah, it has to do balance a lot of different things, and I think it's doing it very well. But hey, you know what? I'm proud of you, man. I love it that it's in your two, like you said, one and two are coveted spots. I also feel like, by the way, because I'm going to talk more about the bear in a minute, but I feel like my number two might be your number one. You ready?
Yeah.
Boiling Point.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I'll talk briefly about it because I feel like it's really your territory. You're the one who showed it to me. You're like, dude, you have to watch this. You have to watch this. And it's fucking great, dude. Like when I came up with this list, I was so happy to land it at the number two slot. Like it's a leap and a bound above a lot of other things that we've talked about. It's so stressful, but it's such a fucking stellar and also, dude, I just love a thing that feels like it's a one shot.
Yeah.
And this feels like a one shot play kind of movie. So good. So that's what I have to say about it. And now the floor is yours.
Yeah, so yeah, that is my number one. Yeah, as far as it being stressful, it gives me like this kind of anxiety that is like borders nostalgia. The very short amount of time that I spent working in any kitchens, that was like the most stressful shit of my life. Very like
Mm-hmm.
political, and it was not a positive experience because of that. But that movie perfectly captures that, I think, in that just how
Yeah.
stressful it is, the amount of pressure that's put on people working in kitchens and just kind of in the culinary world, especially fine dining like that. That
Mm-hmm.
movie does it so well. I was trying to look up that main actor's name because I always forget. Stephen Graham.
Yeah, yeah.
Stephen Graham, that was also the first movie, I think, where I saw him lead. And he just does such a
Oh.
great job as
Mm.
in the leading role. But everybody, it's like it is one of those things where you watch like Birdman, you watch 1917, these movies that are made to look like they're filmed in one go. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the best parts about movies like that when they're done well is you're watching all of those pieces come together perfectly, and so it really feels like this
Mm-hmm.
this major group effort, which every movie is. But there you can
Mm-hmm.
actually you get to see all those gears kind of working together. So I love
Yeah.
that, and I love too that it's not really in any way a positive take on it, but it's still a compelling story.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the twists in it too, man. Like the directions it goes in over the course of an hour and a half or whatever are so dynamic in a way that feels like these are the best stories from a kitchen like this all rolled into one night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, and I will say, just to kind of give some context, because I feel like Boiling Point, it's one that I just kind of stumbled upon and decided to give a go
Mm-hmm.
because I liked Stephen Graham, even though I can never remember his name. But to give some context on this movie and what it's about, it takes place on like the busiest, I think it's like a holiday or something, but it's like the busiest night of the year annually for this restaurant. It is like an open air kitchen, so the chefs are on display for the customers, and it's filmed, made to look like it's filmed in one shot, and it takes place over like that hour and a half period where they're doing the prep work and then getting into the actual busyness of the night. So you're seeing kind of
Yeah.
all aspects of it, from the servers dealing with difficult customers, the issues that restaurants run into where there is like, you know, that imbalance of power between the kitchen staff, management, and the serving staff. And then you kind of also get a very, well, I won't say shallow because it goes a little bit more in depth, but just a glimpse of the head chef's personal life and the struggles that he's dealing with.
Yeah, for sure. No, and it does that super subtly too. It's not like, oh, woe is me, the drama is all about him. It's like, I would say it's even more 60-40 maybe, or 70-30 about the drama of the entire staff and what this location is going through on this night versus like what this other guy has going in the background. And it does a good job of not holding your hand either. Like, you know, the details that you do get about him are not spoon-fed. Like, it's like you need to do a little bit of detective work to put two and two together. Like, okay, this ties to that, that ties to this. But it's also like you can get it. I'm not saying it's like a high art movie where you walk out and you're like, I'm gonna need a textbook to break down what the fuck I just watched.
Yeah, no, it kind of, everything about the movie is kind of on the surface, but it's so fast
Mm.
paced and it is stressful. It's like a one of the Safdie brothers movies where it's like it's all
Yeah,
there for you to absorb, but you're catching up
yeah,
to it, you know, a minute after the fact because everything's kind of happening at once, which is also just a
yeah,
testament to the great performances in it. But yeah, speaking of
yeah.
detective work, dude, like when I was watching this movie, Candy came out into the living room where I was watching it, and I was up against the TV screen with my Sherlock Holmes hat on, and I had like the magnifying glass, and I was just trying to
That's
figure out what
right.
was going on in this movie. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I said,
That's
"I'm just
right.
doing that
That's
detective work to try and figure out what's
hmm
happening."
Yeah, you had your pipe full of bubbles. Yeah, because you don't do tobacco, obviously.
Yeah, my pipe full of bubbles, and then she said, "What are you doing?" And I just spit out wine because I don't drink either.
Your beard was just a mess, dude.
Bubbles, wine, dude,
Uh,
it was disgusting.
oh man, so that's great, dude. I love that pick. I'm really glad it made the cut. And I hate to tell people this, but you're gonna get another stressful one as the other one that gets saved because it's the bear for me. I took a while to get started on this show because people said it's a show about cooking, and I was like, I don't really watch those things. I don't know if I have the time. After the first episode, I was like, that was so stressful, and yet I am compelled to watch more. Wearing the stress of that kitchen in the bear made me want to go back and find out more. And I fucking love it, dude. The cast is stellar. All the stories that they cover and the different angles is stellar. And the second season, no spoilies, one of my favorite second seasons of all time because, especially for a drama, because, and this is not a spoiler, but the layout of the season is the run up to them opening the new location, the 5-star version of it. And so every episode, like you're talking about earlier, in a way, is chaptered. So it's like, you know, you're at the 10-week point, you're at the 8-week point, you're at this. So you're watching the most engaging, like in a way you could not imagine, the most engaging version of like how do businesses, restaurants get up and running, especially after a rebrand. So fucking good. So great. Maybe want to watch more of the show right away. And obviously I couldn't because they're stopped for now and coming back eventually. But yeah, I love that show, man. It's one that I will easily recommend to people. If you like cooking stuff, give it a chance. Just watch it on a day when you're feeling good. Because if you watch it on a day when it's like a Tuesday evening and you're really burned out and you're like, maybe you've been drinking, I don't know, and you sit down and you're like, I hope this helps me unwind. It's not. It's not going to do that. It's definitely a stressful show, but it's really good.
Yeah, and Jeremy Allen White, I know obviously he was Lip in Shameless,
Yeah.
I feel like he wasn't in much other than that before this show, and this show just blew up. After the first season, everybody was watching it. I heard about the show through Matty Matheson, he's like the
Yeah,
maintenance
he's
guy,
so
right?
great.
When
Yeah,
it
yeah,
blew
yeah.
up, obviously, I was like, all right, I got to check this out, and fully loved it. The only reason I haven't watched season 2 is because I'm behind on all of my shows, and I can't decide which one to watch now, so.
Right, right. Yeah, no, totally. I'm excited for you to get back into it. It's another one that when you get to it, you will enjoy it. And it's a great shared one, We've got two new additions to the hard drive, and I will say that like again, hard to watch these with your family on actual Thanksgiving, but if you're looking for something to do over the long weekend, I think that you could do much, much worse than The Bear and Boiling Point, which I almost just called The Labyrinth, and I don't know why, but that's just an insight into my brain.
It's so far off.
It's
Unbelievably
maybe the
far off.
most far off in tone, in structure, in cod pieces. Nothing about it is in common.
I do like to. I feel like this has happened a few times where my number one, your number two, are your number two and your number one.
We do that a lot, and we also do our shared number two a lot. So it goes to show we've been in the same shoes, and we're gonna move on to binges on the fringes. So what over the last week, as it gets darker and moodier, and sometimes rainier, but sometimes sunshinier,
Yeah.
what have you been watching, reading, playing, all that good stuff?
Thanks for asking, my guy. So last
hmm
night, Candy and I went and watched The Holdovers in theaters.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Paul Giamatti.
Uh huh.
It is excellent. There was not a single thing about that movie I didn't like. Absolutely loved it. Definitely
hmm
like peak Paul Giamatti for me, peak Alexander Payne for me. Highly recommend that people go and see this. Not only because it's great, but also because these are the types of movies that everybody should be supporting and going out to see in theaters because we want more of them.
hmm
But yeah, the writing is super intelligent. Love the time period. I think it takes place right in like 1970. Time period's great. Paul Giamatti, his character is hilarious in sometimes like very subtle ways, and other times he just has these like big over the top like outbursts. His line deliveries are spot on. The
hmm
kid in it, I wrote his name down. Dominic Sessa. I haven't seen him in anything else. This might have been like his first foray into acting. He's great in it. He kind of, rides that line between being super immature and like throwing these tantrums and then having these very like aware, mature moments. So he was great in it. And then the cook, who is played by Divine Joy Randolph, she plays
Okay.
Mary in the movie. She's great, and it's in the synopsis. It's not a spoiler that she like recently lost her son in Vietnam, and just that grief that her character carries around throughout the movie is so well done that it's like this dark cloud that you just kind of want to comfort. You want to see her comforted through the movie, so could not have been better acted by her. But yeah, highly recommend. The pacing is great. It's just over 2 hours, and it felt like nothing.
That's so cool, dude. I love to hear that. Honestly, when I saw the early trailers for this, I was like, I love Paul Giamatti. I don't know if I'm ever going to see that. Like, it just wasn't hooking me.
Yeah.
But I think that's the fault of the trailers, dude, because everything that I've heard since then is people are saying what you're saying, which is like, it's great. I literally just yesterday saw on Reddit, it was like from Letterboxd, the subreddit for Letterboxd, and it said that it had crept into the top 250 movies of all time as like number 240 or 238 or something, and over some heavy hitters. Like it was ahead of like Back to the Future. So I was just like, oh, by rating, people are fucking obsessed and loving this movie, and that's really cool because that means it's going to get a lot of shine and probably maybe a Best Picture nod. Do you think?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that whole system is broken at this point, and shit that should be nominated
Yeah, it is.
very. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think Paul Giamatti, I could definitely see him nominated for this. Honestly, the kid Dominic Sessa, I could see him nominated. I could see Divine nominated. They were all just so great. It seemed like the roles were written for them.
That's cool.
But yeah, man, I did show Candy the trailer earlier in the day because I was telling her like, hey, I want to go see this. Do you want to come with me? And I stopped the trailer like halfway through because one, it was showing the whole fucking movie, which just drives me
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And two, it is a terrible trailer. But yeah, if anybody's interested in seeing it, check the reviews, and I would absolutely recommend it.
So here's my last big question then. You went to see it with Can.
Yeah.
Can is, you know, choosy with what movies she will enjoy.
Yeah.
So, what was her take on it?
Yeah, so before we went, she asked me, "Hey, are you tricking me with this movie?" And I asked for clarification with that, and she said, "Is this going to be like a sequel to The Lighthouse or something? Because I will not, I'll fucking leave the theater." And so I had
Such a funny connection.
yeah, I had to just ensure her that it was not. And when she
Yeah.
saw it, she said that she really liked it, and she
Cool.
liked a lot of Paul Giamatti's line deliveries as well.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it. So it's firing on all cylinders. It's not only getting the main 4 quadrants, it's getting the trickiest 5th quadrant Can stamp of approval. I love it.
Yeah, well, and given because it's 2 hours and 15 minutes, which I thought might be a little lengthy for a movie, especially if she was not digging it. And so the fact that she still liked it, I think, was a testament to the pacing as well.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, you've sold me. I'm going to have to watch it very soon. So that's awesome to hear. I will say my binge on The Fringe quickly. I spent the weekend with family, and so we ended up watching a lot of things that are, safe for a lot of different ages to watch. But I either had never seen or I'd never seen all the way through The Santa Claus.
What?
Do you remember that movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So super on The Fringe, I will say, because it came out in 1994. But yeah, watch that again, and it's a very sweet movie. It brought me to the verge of tears, but I kind of stamped back because I was like, I'm not gonna cry watching the Santa Claus. That's just not in the cards for me today. But still super good. There's some good jokes in it. The CGI didn't really hold up because it's from way too long ago, almost 30 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
But dude, oh my God, Tim Allen as Santa Claus is a Christmas miracle. That man was maybe born to have the face that would support that beard and the white hair. He looks so good as Santa.
Yeah. Now, speaking of food in movies and TV shows, the Santa Claus has Denny's, and it makes Denny's look fantastic. It has hot chocolate and makes hot chocolate look fantastic. And lastly, it has chocolate pudding and makes chocolate pudding look fantastic. After watching that movie, I always want all 3 of those things after those parts in the movie.
That's so funny because, to be honest, I don't remember those things being in the movie. I thought you were going to say, like, it has celery and it makes celery look good. It has cookies and milk. And I was like, yep, bang, bang, bang. But that just goes to show it has even more than I remember.
Yeah, dude. Those are the main ones I remember. I'm hyper fixated on food and anything I watch, and those are the main things from that movie. So take it from an expert.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take it from the experts. So yeah, there you go. It's the people's choice. Are you going to binge on The Fringe with the new critically acclaimed darling or something ancient? The choice is yours.
Well, yeah, with the leading man is like a hyper conservative dude now, I think.
He is?
Yeah.
Don't say that. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's Home Improvement, dude.
I know. He does that in the movie, though. That was like, I loved it. It was like they were saying, we need to capitalize on the fact that this guy is in Home Improvement.
Hey, you do ho 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 kind of in that show, right? Just do a version of that for Santa.
Yeah. It's really what we're paying you the millions for. So.
That's great. I'm glad that you finally watched that for the first time, I'm guessing. Beyond that, dude,
Yeah, I think so.
We got to tell people where they can find us.
Such a good call, dude. So yes, please go and find us on Instagram where we've got fun little clips and games and factoids and all kinds of stuff like that. And you can do that at
Doomsday Download Pod.
Yep, that's it. And if you want to go over to our TikTok side of things, it's the same great menu of treats to watch, but it'll be on TikTok, and that is at
Doomsday Download.
Yes, very good. Last one, hang with me. So if you want to write to us and say that our picks of getting rid of turkey and mashed potatoes was insane, or any of the other topics that we covered today, you can write to us at
doomsdaydownloadpod@gmail.com.
There it is. My little robot man, he's running low on batteries, but there he is.
Short-circuiting. Also, tell us if your family eats stuffing other times of the year, or if they refer to sweet potatoes as yams other times of the year.
We've really cracked open a whole can of worms on this one, but I'm excited to get to the bottom of it. And if you want to do that, a great place to do that, you can do that on the Gmail or write us a 5-star review. And on Apple, you can do a review and tell us, your feelings on yams.
Yeah, and I've said it before, we don't read the reviews that aren't 5 stars. So if you want to complain to us, you got to leave a 5-star review. Otherwise, you're screaming into the void.
That's it.
If you're on your way to work, have a great day at work.
And if you're on your way home from work, I hope you had a great day.
Night-night.
Bye-bye.